Family. Welcome to Thinking Out Loud with Dr. Williams. Listen, it's been a crazy last couple weeks. Just been busy, very busy. Hadn't been able to get on and do what we normally do. Had these conversations about just life things that's going on, how we get better, how we grow. Nothing scripted. It's a link in the chat. You can hit the link if you want to join, or if you just want to stay in the comments, just converse through the comment section, whether or not you're on Facebook or on YouTube. We're talking about things that I had to learn to grow. I want you to put that in the chat. What are some things that you had to learn in order to grow? Some things you had to unlearn. See, because we really want to deal with that deconstruction piece, right? That's the hardest piece of learning to become better. It's the hardest piece of growing, is deconstructing the things that you thought were correct, that you thought were right, that you thought were effective, until you grew up a little bit and you realize that those things, albeit well-meaning, taught to you by well-meaning people, may not have been the things that will help you go to the next level. Right, I see Sam in here, Jirai. Ooh, Jirai, you got to put the link to your to the remix album in here. He just dropped some fire last week. You got to get it. Pecan Tan is in the building. Listen, put in the chat some things that and I'll try to go through all the comments as much as I can. Some things that you had to unlearn in this season of your life, whatever season that is for you, in order for you to grow. Because a part of us being human beings is we have the capacity to grow. We had a capacity to get better. We have the capacity to be better today than we were yesterday. But it takes some things out of us to get to that point. Listen, what are some things that you had to learn to grow? Listen to this quote. Growth isn't always about learning something new. Sometimes it's about letting go of beliefs, habits, and mindsets. See, we see growth so much as learning something new about a particular topic, a particular person, a particular area of your life, a particular aspect of who you are. But we negate the fact that growth means that I have to leave some things behind in order to move on. Growth means that I have to break through something that I was accustomed to in order to move forward. Growth means I have to get out of certain environments, certain mindsets, certain proclivities if I'm going to move forward. Listen, a seed doesn't stay in the same form it's in if it's going to become a flower or a piece of fruit. A caterpillar doesn't stay in that same state that it's in if it's going to become a butterfly. You have to break loose of some things and unlearn some things if you're going to grow and go to the next level. Put in the chat, what are some things you've had to unlearn in order to grow? Jirai says this: I had to unlearn the idea that I am in control. I had to learn to trust God with outcomes. Whew, that's powerful. That's powerful because innately, especially as men, we want to be in control of everything. We want to be able to put our hands in and on everything, to be able to manipulate the outcome of whatever the situation is, especially if you're leading a household, right? You want to be, as a man, you want to be in control of the actions of your kids. As a married person, you want to be in control of the actions of your spouse. But if you are to grow in that area of leadership, wherever it is, you have to understand that leadership is not about control, right? It's not about having your hand in everything. It's about understanding that if I'm going to move forward and be better, I've got to find someone to trust. and Sam puts it perfectly. I had to learn to trust God with outcomes. You got to find somebody to trust. And when you are rooted and grounded and anchored in trusting the right person or persons, then you realize that it's even more imperative for you to relinquish your hand out of everything. You can't control everything. And if you live life trying to control everything, you run yourself into the ground. You run yourself in the ground. I'm kind of like that too. I hate being in environments that I have no control. So if we go into the fair, I can't stand it. It's too many people. It's too many things that can happen that I can't control. Going to a basketball game, a football game, whatever. It's too much that happens that I cannot control. And I don't like that. And sometimes when I go somewhere with my kids, my wife, they'll be like, you just got quiet. Yeah, I got quiet because I'm looking to see if that Broad River going to have to come out or not. Right? I hate being in situations where I have to relinquish the control. But in order to grow, you can't micromanage. You have to be willing to trust people or persons enough to relinquish the control, or you're going to run yourself in the ground because you can't control every outcome. That's a good one. That's a good one. PK 10 says, comparing myself to others, something I had to unlearn to grow. Yeah, it's difficult though, right? And it's even more difficult in 2026 than it's ever been, because at your fingertips, you have Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and all of those different social media outlets that's allowing you to see a version of people that may or may not be true. And you begin to compare yourself to that version. Yeah, my friend got married at 22. I was supposed to be married at 22. Yeah, but you don't always know what's really going on. Right, I got a brother. I just met him a few months ago. His daughter and my daughter play ball together. And before we would go to these tournaments, we would get on Instagram and we would look at these teams we were playing. And man, Instagram made them look like WNBA teams, and they 11 years old. Then we'll get to the game and we'll realize our girls are better than just about every team they play. And the problem was we were looking at the highlights of a team and making the assumption that they were as good as their highlights. We were comparing our team and our girls and our daughters to other folk, making the assumption that what we saw was a true indication of what it was. And that's what social media does. It will make anybody look great. And consequently, it'll make anybody look terrible, because social media will grab you at your highest of highs and at your lowest of lows. It's hard not to compare yourself to other folk. And that's why sometimes you gotta put that phone down, like Erykah Badu. I had to unlearn that I can expect me from other people. We talked about that. We talked about, if you didn't see that, I'll link that below in the chat. We talked about that on a couple weeks ago. Not expecting you from other folk. They're not built like you. They don't have your experiences. They don't have your mindset. They don't have your perspective. And so oftentimes we put expectations on people based off of what we think they should be, not based off of the experiences that they've had. Listen, growth isn't always about learning something new. It's also about letting go of those habits, those beliefs, and those mindsets that in one season of your life might have been okay, but now it's time to move forward and progress. You know, one of the hardest things to do is see someone 10 years later, 15, 20 years later, and they're still mentally in the same place they were when you stopped talking to them. And oftentimes it's not because they don't want to learn something new. It's because they don't want to let go of some of the things that they believe. I struggle with this. I struggle with this, especially when you start talking about things that I may have been taught growing up by people who I look highly upon, right? And oftentimes you have to separate the belief from the person who taught you that. Because when you find out that that belief won't carry you to the next level, then you have to disassociate that belief from that person, or you're going to look down on that person who had well-meaning in giving you that belief system. Listen, growth feels like loss before it feels like gain. Growth feels like loss before it feels like gain. Growth doesn't feel good. Right? Think about when you're starting to hit that gym, you're starting to lift weights, or you're starting to run, or whatever it is that you're doing. It doesn't feel good at first. It hurts. You're sore. You don't want to get up. Listen, my daughter she has a great jump shot. She's a great shooter in basketball, but she has something about her shot that's a little off. It's a couple things. And we're starting, now that we're kind of in the off season, on working on fixing those things, right? And she said something the other day in the driveway. She said, this don't feel good. She said, this doesn't feel good. She said, I'm missing more than I'm making now. And I told her that until it becomes muscle memory, it's not going to feel right until it feels right. And so often we get lost because we give up looking at a feeling. We give up thinking, hey, I'm supposed to be happy 100% of the time. But that's just not true. I'm learning something, in life, that everything that I'm involved in is not supposed to make me happy. My pastor said that to me one day. He says, son, your job not supposed to make you happy. Whether or not it makes you happy or not, you've got a responsibility. Everything is not going to make you happy, and it's not going to always feel good, but growth feels like loss before it feels like gain. That's right. We hate to lose. You know what Fantasia say? Sometimes you got to lose to win again. And that was her. Sometimes losing is in fact more powerful than winning. Sometimes losing is more powerful than winning because you learn something about your character, the intangibles you learn when you lose that you oftentimes don't learn when you win. I tell people this all the time. The best team, my favorite team, not the best team, my favorite team to coach was a team that we went 1-9. We went 1-9. I didn't really have a bunch of good players that year. I really didn't have any really good players. They were just learning. But that was my favorite team to coach because if I told them to do something, they did it. Then I had a team that went undefeated, and that was my worst team. I didn't like them because they could do everything wrong and still win. They thought it was okay. You have to get used to losing sometimes so that you develop the character needed to win the right way. Scaling. Unlearning the belief that my value depends on carrying every responsibility myself. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Listen, we are not designed to be independent creatures. Let me say that again. We are not designed, we were not created to be independent creatures. We were created to be dependent. And this Western American idea or ideology that you are supposed to be independent is antithetical to what the Creator created us to do. He never created us to be independent. He created us to be dependent on Him and on other folk. Think about that. He said it's not good for man to be alone. He wasn't just talking about Adam. It's not good to be so independent that you feel like you're in this fight, you're in this race by yourself. You never want to feel like you're in it by yourself. And your value is not dependent on how much you carry. Your value, watch this, is dependent upon you carrying what God called you to carry. Let me say that again. Your value is not dependent on how much you carry. It's dependent on you carrying what you were called to carry. And some of us are weighing ourselves down because we're carrying more than we were called to carry. We're trying to be Superman and Superwoman. If you weren't called to carry it, you shouldn't be carrying this. PK10 said that's powerful. That sure is. Well, I got to get Skelton on here. Skelton got to tell y'all her testimony. My goodness. My goodness. Listen, change is inevitable, but growth is optional. Change is inevitable, but growth is optional. See, change is the only constant thing that we have. Growth is how we respond to change. See, change is not always, all changes are not good, but you can always respond well to any change. Growth is your response to change. So what's changed in your life that you need to reassess your mindset or your belief or your habits? Maybe it's something you've learned early on. Maybe it's something that you have been taught by some people you look up to. Maybe it's something that you really believed your entire life. And now you're faced with some questions that you can't answer, because while that belief may have been good for that season, that belief may not be able to carry you where you're supposed to go. I hate change. PK10 say I hate change. Absolutely. Sometimes. Growth begins where comfort ends. Growth begins where comfort ends. So when you're in that gym and you're pushing yourself and you're pushing that iron and you're working hard, when you're in that gym and you're trying to build those muscles, right? What tends to happen is that painful the way that you push yourself into that pain begins to hurt. And when that pain begins to hurt you, the recovery period lets you know that growth is taking place. But you had to break down that muscle in order to rebuild it. And that's what we're talking about. You can't reconstruct before you deconstruct. And sometimes we have to deconstruct what we've been taught. We have to deconstruct what we've learned, sometimes that we learned in error, in order to reconstruct our lives the proper way. You have to deconstruct what you've been taught that's wrong and reconstruct it. Listen, sometimes the way that you respond in crisis has to change because you've been taught to react, not to respond properly. See, the older I get, the more I parent, the more I lead, the more I realize that peace is one of the most important aspects of growth. As you grow in your maturity, you begin to understand the value of your responses with peace. There's some things I had to unlearn to grow. Y'all hitting up the chat. I appreciate that. Hold on. All of these things sound like things we are not directly taught about. Being uncomfortable, losing bad. You can control everything. Man, listen, especially if you're growing up in church circles now. We usually learn these things inadvertently. Absolutely. Let me address that. We're not taught that it's okay to be uncomfortable. Because watch this, because in our society, we only reward when we win. I told y'all this before. It was a guy training my daughter and my son. It happened with both of them. And he was training them, and they made the mistake, and he praised them. And if you were just looking at it, not knowing anything about training or basketball or growth or learning, you would think he was crazy. But my daughter lost the ball one time, and my son took a bad shot one time, and he started clapping. Why? Because the fact that they realized that they made the mistake was the growth. Had they not made the mistake, you don't make mistakes when you're not trying to do something that you haven't done before. When you're comfortable, you don't make mistakes. So when you move out of that comfort zone, when you move out of that area of your life in which you are not scared to grow, not scared to move, when you start moving, then you're going to make some mistakes. And oftentimes, listen, let me give you a little trick to the trade. If you're a parent, if you're parenting, a trick to the trade is this: when your child does something that they know they shouldn't have done, but they respond to their mistake the right way, you should praise them. Not saying it's not a consequence, but you should praise them, because growth happens when you learn how to respond. And mistakes typically happen when you're moving from comfort to discomfort. And you can't move from good to great without discomfort. You can't move from better to best without discomfort. You can't be a better father without being uncomfortable. You can't be a better husband, a better wife without being uncomfortable. There are some uncomfortable things, conversations that have to be had. You can't be a better friend if you're scared to be uncomfortable. Nothing grows without discomfort. Make sure I address that. All of these things sound like things we are not directly taught. Right. And you know, the fact that we're not directly taught them means we learned them inadvertently or on our own. And oftentimes when you learn without the proper guidance, then you don't know how to respond the right way. Here's some things I'm thinking about that I had to unlearn to grow. Here's one thing. I had to unlearn that being busy means being productive. Let me say that again. Just because you are busy doesn't mean you are productive. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you are productive. Listen, there should be a link somewhere in the chat or in the description. If it's not in the chat, it's in the description. Pecan, if you find the link, whether or not you jump on or not, if you find the link in the description, put it in the chat for everybody. But just because I heard a quote by Denzel Washington, he said this a long time ago, and I agree somewhat with it because I understand the premise that he said it with. He said you can be running on a treadmill and not going anywhere. It's the same way with busyness and production. You could be in a rocking chair moving, but not going anywhere. And sometimes in life, we get to be so busy that we're not productive. Listen, I got somebody that jumped on here. Hold on. I got somebody. Pecan, you jumping on? You gonna keep your camera on before I put this on now? All right, hold on. Let me see where you at.
I'm on here.
We see the ceiling. You sure you want to keep your camera on?
Yeah, y'all gonna see the ceiling.
Okay. You can just cut the camera off. You ain't got to do that.
Oh, I'm on my phone. I ain't know. Okay, there you go.
Talk to me.
All right.
Talk to me about
I just wanted to piggyback on what you were saying about learning things, unlearning things, and how sometimes we are taught things subconsciously.
Right.
For example, with myself, I always thought crying was a sign of weakness.
Right.
Right. Not because anybody taught me that, but from what I saw growing up. I ain't see my mama cry. You know, you ain't see your grandmama cry. So I learned that in order to be a strong Black woman, you don't have to cry. But in order for me to unlearn that, I had to do my own research and figure out why these people in my life didn't cry.
Right. And what you found out about that?
I found out because of their experiences.
Right.
They had so many experiences and they were, so to speak, cried out. And they wanted to cry, but they couldn't because they had been through so much for so long.
Right.
And then it was, if you want to cry, cry.
Right.
And then I had to learn that crying is not weak. It's a form of release. It's a sign of emotional intelligence. It fosters connection. It gives you the opportunity to release things so that you can learn and dive deeper into what it is that you're dealing with.
Right. Right. And it's crazy. Because you said something that I thought was critical. You said that you were taught that to be a strong Black woman means you can't cry. But you know, we use it, and that's something in our culture as African Americans that we use so much because we say the same thing about Black men. Black men are not supposed to cry. Right. And what we have to get to a place to is we have to teach this emotional intelligence. If we're going to change anything, we've got to teach this emotional intelligence to our children and to the people who come along behind us so that we can
Right.
change this notion that strength means not showing emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And what we have in our culture is we have equated strength to the wrong emotions,
Right.
right? The way we grew up, Broad River Road. If you fight, you strong.
Mm-hmm.
Until you get old enough to realize that fighting ain't the best emotion to show.
Right. And that you're
If
a
you want to
coward
stay
if
out
you
of
walk
jail.
away.
Right,
Correct. And you're correct.
right, right, right. So how many lives have been destroyed
Mm-hmm.
because we have responded with the wrong emotion?
Correct.
Or how many times have we put ourselves deeper into a rough season because we didn't know how to respond with the right emotions?
Mm-hmm.
If you'd have just cried your eyes out that night, you might have been all right. But you let that thing sit on you for 20 years because you don't want to cry.
Right. Or I actively stop myself from crying.
Right.
You know, I self-talk, girl, what you doing? Don't cry.
Mm-hmm.
I stuck that up. Why you know, and those things are not healthy.
Right.
And it wasn't a direct lesson of, hey, you don't cry.
Right.
It was from the environment.
Right. 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 And that's crazy. I think I'm trying to think now. Have I seen my mama cry?
You haven't
I don't think I ever seen my mama cry.
ever.
I seen her swing that belt though, but I don't, I
So
don't know about.
now that you think about that and think about all the experiences, what was the lesson in her not crying? What did you think about that? Or did you think anything at all?
I thought my mama was strong.
Exactly.
I thought my
And
mama
she
was strong.
is.
Right. Right. But I thought the sign of her strength was that she could be
She
going through this turmoil
mm-hmm.
and not crying.
But now
But
think about the turmoil that she going through and wanting to cry and can't.
and can't do it. Great day in the morning.
Okay, I'm jumping off here. That's all I want to say.
That's all you had to say.
That's it. I'm gone.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Tell Pam to go and get on here too. I'll be on here a little while. Tell
All
Pam to get on
right.
here. Somebody else. All right.
Okay.
Appreciate you. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So that crying piece doesn't display weakness. And it's crazy that in Christian circles especially, we equate strength to not showing any emotion. And sometimes you have to show. Didn't the Bible say something about Jesus cried so hard that he was bleeding? Say drops of blood was coming out. So much anxiety and anguish with what he had to do. Listen, I had to learn that being busy does not mean that you're being productive. Like, how often do you take inventory of your time and you recognize that you may not be being productive? Even though you stay busy, you stay on the go, you stay on the run, you're always doing something. Busyness is not honorable, production is. Let me say that again. Busyness is not honorable. Production is. How productive are you? See, I had to unlearn that having 100 things on my to-do list a day meant that I was productive. All it meant was that I was busy. Listen, a full schedule doesn't equate to a fulfilled life. A full schedule doesn't equate to a fulfilled life. How often are you dog tired at the end of the day because you did a lot and you got nothing to show for it? You weren't productive. Activity and progress are not the same thing. Activity and progress are not like, this is why it is so critical. It is so important to plan as much as you possibly can your days, your hours, your minutes, because you can be busy and never be productive. Because anytime you're productive, you are productive towards something, towards a goal. Maybe you're trying to take your family somewhere. Maybe you're trying to do something for your family that has never been done in your family before. You've got to be productive towards the goal. Because when you're busy, oftentimes you're just in a wilderness, roaming and roaming. You're like a dog chasing his own tail. Being productive is about working towards a specific goal, trying to get somewhere. Growth happens when you focus on what moves your life forward. I had to unlearn. I had to unlearn that just being busy was productive. My mama said this to me, and what is crazy is my wife said something similar to me very recently. My mama said, when I was growing up, she said, boy, you got a restless spirit. She said, you got a restless spirit. You got to be on the go. You got to be on the move all the time. You always doing something. And she wasn't lying. I was always doing something, but I was not always productive. And my wife said to him, she said, you know what? You don't know how to sit down. You always got to do something. You don't know how to sit down and enjoy just being still. See, sometimes being still is the most productive thing you can do. But in our society, we equate being busy to being productive. I had to unlearn that. We equate being busy to being productive. Listen, here's another thing I had to unlearn. I had to unlearn the need for everyone's approval. The need for everyone's approval. You don't need everybody to approve of what you're doing. They don't have your vision. They don't have your mission. God ain't talk to them about you. God ain't tell them what he called you to do. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm typing at the same time. All right. God ain't tell everybody what he called you to do. You don't need everybody's approval. And if you live for the approval of people, you're going to die looking for their approval. Something in my beard, there you go. You can't make life's hardest decisions based on other folks' opinion. You can't make life's hardest decisions based on other folks' opinion. What do I mean by that? And the other folks are sometimes people you look up to. You can't live your life trying to make your mama happy, your daddy happy. You can't live your life looking for the approval of other folk. I had to unlearn that. Now, nobody wakes up in the morning saying, hey, I want people to not like me. Nobody does that. But if you're going to be productive in your life, if you're going to reach that level of growth that you want to get to, watch this, you cannot be so concerned about other folk opinion that you stifle your productivity. Ben, what's up, man? Oh, man, I miss y'all, too. I miss y'all. All of them. I miss y'all, man. Good to see you. I appreciate you being on. For sure. Tell the family I asked about. Uriah says, I had to unlearn success by the world standards and try to learn what God calls success. Absolutely. And you know what I discovered? And you talked about it on the Success album. Listen, what I discovered, Jeriah, is this, Sam. Um, Success is not what you do in comparison to what other folk do. Success is what you do in comparison to what you're supposed to do. Everybody ain't supposed to do the same thing. So your success should be measured by what you were called and purposed to do, not what you do in comparison to someone else. See, yes, sir. I miss y'all, man, for sure. See, I talk to my kids a lot about this because in this age of information and comparison, they are always measuring themselves by other people. So my son gets in the car after a game, and it's always sports with me right now, y'all. I'm sorry. My son gets in the car after the game and say, "Daddy, I ain't had nothing but 8 points. Such and such had 15. Yeah, but you wasn't supposed to have 15. You were supposed to have 8 points and 6 rebounds and 4 blocks. And that's what you had. Your success is not measured by what everybody does. Their calling ain't your calling. Their calling is not your calling. You have to measure your success, watch this, by what God called you to do in that season. And in order for you to truly and accurately measure your success, watch this, you got to know what he called you to do in that season. Your success is not measured based on what somebody else does. It's based on what you were called to do. Me and my wife talk all the time, and one thing that she said to me years ago, and she says it all the time, is, I just want to be a good wife and a good mother. All this other stuff, I don't care. I don't care nothing about that. I just want a quiet life, be a good wife and a good mom. I heard my mama say the same thing. I'm not measuring, they're not measuring themselves by how many concerts they go to. They're not measuring themselves by how many outfits they got, how many cars they got. They're not measuring themselves. They're measuring themselves by what they feel they were called to accomplish in life. And if you try to measure yourself based off of someone else's accomplishments and you don't have someone else calling, you're going to find yourself in a situation where you are constantly looking for someone else's approval for you to feel validated. Pam, talk to me. I had to unlearn. You don't need everyone's approval. Growth requires you to disappoint other people. What them old preachers say, I feel my help coming now. With my little Kool-Aid, with the napkin on it. Listen, growth requires you to disappoint other people. Sometimes when you're doing God's work, God's will, you're going to disappoint some people. Ain't that what happened when Jesus went to raise Lazarus from the dead? What's the first thing they said to him? If you would have been here, my brother wouldn't have died. And Jesus wasn't concerned with disappointing them. Sometimes you got to disappoint people. Because after all, your progress and your growth is not dependent upon their approval. That's right. Ben said he had to leave Domino's for a better job and disappointed some people. Absolutely. That's a byproduct of growth. Pam says he created us all in his image. He knows the beginning and the end. We just have to submit to his sovereignty. Absolutely. Absolutely. My boy, there he is. Boy, if y'all hear the beat in the background, It's him. Hit him up. He got that fire, boy. Dr. Dre can't see him. Can't see him. Appreciate you, bro. So understanding that you don't need everybody's approval. And people who are great, people who become great, people who accomplish great things, they are dependent on other people, and they are also not concerned with the wrong people's approval. They ain't concerned with it. This is what I've been called to do. This is how I've been called to do it. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. You can't be authentic and approved by everyone at the same time. Ooh, you can't be authentic and approved by everyone at the same time. Now listen, this is the dichotomy of that statement. The dichotomy is this: nobody wakes up looking to disappoint people. Nobody wakes up looking to not be approved by other folk. Watch this. But if you're going to be who you are called to be and do what you're called to do, innately you're going to disappoint some people. And if you're going to be authentic, you can't be worried about other folk approval. You got to go do what you were called to do. Pam says, let thy will be done on earth. Let him take the lead. Let him order those steps. Absolutely. You've got to go in such a fashion. I see that the problem is people who think this way often don't think this way properly, because they'll take, I had to learn not to be concerned with everyone's approval. They'll take that to mean arrogance or being conceited or pride. That's not what that means. What that means is I'm focused on what I know I'm supposed to be doing. I can't keep up with everybody else. I can't be concerned with what everybody else is doing, and we all in different seasons. My calling ain't your calling. Your calling ain't my calling. Authenticity leads to vulnerability, and we are afraid of that. Absolutely. See, when you are authentic, then at some point you're going to have to explain yourself. When you are authentic, you're going to have to explain yourself. And you can't be concerned about everyone's opinion and authentic at the same time. It just doesn't work that way. Now, there's also a difference between authenticity and stupidity, right? You can be your authentic self and not give your boss a piece of your mind so you lose your job and can't feed your kids. There's a difference between authenticity and stupidity. And sometimes we conflate the two. And we think that being authentic means I have to say everything that comes to my mind. That's called stupidity, not authenticity. But if you're going to be who you're supposed to be, who you're called to be, then you have to be okay with the person that you're becoming if you know the assignment. See, I used to be at a place where I was trying to compete with everybody. My homeboy got a nice car. He bought his wife a car, this, that, and the third. And man, I wish I can do this. I wish I can do that. No, I have to live my life based off of the calling on my life, not nobody else's. Because at the end of the day, this ain't the Practical Purpose podcast now, so I ain't trying to go too spiritual with y'all. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to answer for what you were supposed to do, not for what the next person was supposed to do. You got to answer for you. What the text says, save yourself from this untoward generation. You got to answer for yourself. And if you are too busy looking for other folk approval, you're not busy enough living out the purpose that you have for your life. I had to unlearn that being busy means being productive. I had to unlearn the need for everyone's approval. Watch this. I had to unlearn that my past determines my future. I had to unlearn that my past determines my future. Hold on. See, what has happened to you in the past has helped you to become who you are now, but your past doesn't determine your future. Ooh, PK10 asked a good question. I'm gonna come to that in a second. Don't let me forget it. Your past, and see, sometimes we get so locked in to our past mistakes. Not just the mistakes, though. Watch this. Sometimes you had such good success in your past that you feel like you've done enough. What was that song that Janet say? What have you done for me lately? Just because you have to grow based off of the successes that you have had in your past. You can't live off those successes forever. And your past mistakes can become a mental prison. Those past mistakes can entrap you so that you can't create or develop a growth mindset to move forward. And guess what? At this point in your life, if you're listening to this right now, at this point in your life, you cannot afford to be a prisoner of your past mistakes, because it will affect everyone around you. It's going to affect your children. It's going to affect your spouse. It's going to affect your siblings. You have to live a life that is looking at what did my past mistakes help me become? Who did it help me become? See, now I can look back and say, yeah, I made that mistake. And in some cases, yeah, that wasn't just a mistake. That was a habit that I developed. But because of what I've had to experience since then, I've become a different person. And now I'm not going to allow what was behind me to entrap me so that I can't grow and grow the people that I'm responsible for. That's what Paul said. He said, forgetting those things that are behind me. Right? Now, he wasn't saying that he forgot them in the sense of he couldn't remember them. He was saying they no longer hold the weight that they once had. So you went to jail. Yeah, you got locked up. Yeah, you had a baby in your teens. Yeah, all of that happened. All that has shaped who you are now. You can't allow that to imprison you. Stop identifying with what happened and identify with who you are becoming. Stop identifying with what happened and identify with who you are becoming. I'm trying to stay out that Bible, y'all. I'm trying to stay out that Bible. You oftentimes in scripture, when Jesus heals someone, we don't even know their name. We just identify them with whatever their sickness, their illness, or whatever it was. And sometimes we know their name, but they put the sickness or the adjective in front of their name as if they are what they were. Blind Bartimaeus. You could have just said Bartimaeus, but they wanted to let us know that he identified with being blind. And so much in our lives, we identify with our mistakes instead of allowing our mistakes to grow us into who we are destined to become. And if you stop identifying with your mistake and take your mistake and use it to grow, now you can grow people around you. Your history explains you. It doesn't define you. Your past may explain you. Your past doesn't define you. And you cannot allow your past to imprison you to such a degree. Y'all can't see my hands. I'm doing this. To such a degree that you are paralyzed from progress. You're paralyzed. You're stuck. Or you're in this cycle. You're in this cycle because you have allowed yourself to identify with what you did, not who you are. Thinking out loud. Like, how many things in your life are you identifying with because you did it? Instead of understanding that through that mistake, I've become something that I would not have become had I not made that mistake. Paul said it this way, Romans 8:28, God causes all things to work together for our good, not for everybody, to those of us who are called according to his purpose. Let me catch some of these questions. What do you do with the people around you when you are unlearning and growing? Listen, I just did a Moment of Clarity, a leadership podcast. What's the day? Saturday? That was Monday or Tuesday on relational intelligence. And I said in that podcast that properly placed people prevent problems. And what I was getting at is that in a leadership capacity, when you begin to grow and when you understand your mission, your vision for your organization and whatever you're trying to do, you have to place people in the right places for them to be successful, you to be successful. And sometimes people get closer to you and further away. And when you are unlearning and growing, you have to take inventory of the relationships in your life. And you've got to know, hey, this person need to be a little further away from me. And this person can be a little closer to me in this season. And so when you're unlearning and growing, you got to look at people for who they are. Now, you can't fool yourself. Look at people for who they are and properly place them so that they benefit your life and they're not a liability. Hope that answers that question. The ideal is to pair authenticity with humility, critical thinking, and a willingness to learn. That allows you to remain genuine while continuing to grow and make better choices. Absolutely right. That authenticity, it can't be prideful. And you know what I hear a lot from a lot of people? Man, it's just who I am. I ain't changing. The right thing will make you change. Yeah. The right thing. Hey, I always been a firecracker. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The right thing will make you change. The right thing will make you understand that your response ain't the best response now. You got to be humble. See, you can allow your past experiences to shape who you are and be humble at the same time and understand that, yeah, I grew up this way. I did these things. I made these mistakes, but now I'm not that person. Because I understand I got a little more responsibility now. It's a couple miles I got to feed. I can't pop off like that no more. I can't do the things that I used to do. What the old folks say, places I used to go, I don't go no more. View challenges as opportunities for growth. I just wrote this in my personal statement. So true. Absolutely. Challenges are opportunities for growth. And the crazy part about that, Pam, is that's in every aspect of your life. You put on a few pounds, go hit that gym. That challenge is an opportunity for you to grow. You spending your money wrong? Look at that bank account every couple of days. It's an opportunity to grow. You've got to plan and have a strategy when challenges arrive. That's the only way you can grow. PK Tan says, I'm sorry, I'm late. The woman with the issue of blood was identified by what others thought she was. Absolutely. And she was identified by what was happening to her, not who she was becoming because of it. That's one of them E flats right there. Turn to your neighbor. Tell your neighbor. I can't even repeat that. That was so good. Listen, she was identified by what was happening to her, not by who she was becoming because of it. Because if it wasn't happening to her, she would not have persevered and pushed through a crowd long enough just to touch a piece of cloth on Jesus. And sometimes what's happening to us, watch this, it's really happening for us. What's happening to us is really happening for us. What's happening to us is creating something in us so that we can become who we're supposed to become. It's not happening just to you. It is happening to you, but it's also happening for you. I see you, Pam. Listen, I had to unlearn that being busy means being productive. I had to unlearn the need for everyone's approval. I had to unlearn that my past determines my future. I only got two more. I had to unlearn that every battle needs my attention. Something popped up on my screen. Oh. Every battle. I'm trying to put this in here. I need a secretary. Every battle doesn't require your attention. You can't tell talk about E flat again. Let me run real quick. The hymn. Exactly. She pressed through a crowd of people just to touch a piece of cloth. Now, there's a lot of implications about the piece of cloth that she touched. I'm not going there. But what was going on to her is what pushed her to do that. Right? Listen, I had to unlearn that every battle needs my attention. You know something? You don't have to respond to everything. You don't have to respond to everything. You don't have to have a rebuttal for every remark. Every time you see somebody say something on social media that you do not like, you don't have to get to typing. Let your finger do what it does the other 90% of the time and just keep scrolling. I have to tell myself that because sometimes I see some stuff that I just think is idiotic. And it's posted. What frustrates me is when it's not posted by an idiot. When it's posted by someone who I know is intelligent, very smart. They just got a different view on something that I have, and I just think their view is idiotic. Don't mean I'm right either, right? But every battle don't require my attention. And this is the trick that the media does, that the enemy uses, that the right does, the left, I don't care what political side you on. This is the trick that they use. They know how to say certain buzzwords to get you to respond to stuff that you shouldn't even be fighting. If they throw race in it, you gonna say something. If they throw any type of anything about the alphabet community in it, you gonna respond. We've got to learn that every battle don't require your attention. And see, that's a part of being dependent. Because if somebody is trying to get you into a battle, they're trying to distract you from something that you need to be focused on If you're dependent on other folk, maybe it's their battle. See, some folk are fighting other folk battle, and it's distracting you from where you're supposed to be. Some folk, you fighting other folks' battle. I like my hat, man. It's Outkast. I don't know. Some of y'all might not know who Outkast is. It causes division, distraction. I like that. Sometimes you don't have to respond. Ooh. Let me say this. and it's a lot of people in here, and I know a bunch of people about to get off when I say this, but I don't care. I'm not really here for a lot of people's approval. You can be, my people, you can be pro-black and not be anti-white. And what the media does is they create that division so that you are fighting battles that's distracting you from what you're supposed to be doing. You done got all out of character on Instagram, Facebook. Them the only two I have. But all them other ones. Because you are fighting a battle. Number one, you can't win. Number two, it's a distraction. I like what Pastor Hayward John out of Orangeburg, South Carolina says. He says it's a weapon of mass distraction. That's right. I talked about this. I talked about this a little while ago. There's victory in silence. Sometimes you don't have to say anything. You know, they beating Jesus, spitting on Jesus, doing all that. The old folks say he ain't say a mumbling word. Now it takes some power to do that. Now, don't get me wrong. It takes some maturity to not say anything. But you don't have to pop off every time something is said that you don't agree with. People say something to me all the time that I don't agree with. And I understand where you're coming from. I ain't about to argue with you. Not if I don't think it's fruitful. And here's the other dichotomy of that statement is you can learn from people you disagree with. You can learn from those that you disagree with. But sometimes you are so caught up in the fact that you want to be right. And see, it's people on social media, I ain't gonna say no names, but this one I'm thinking about specifically. It's people on social media that know how to say the right thing to get you riled up. And what they saying is 85% inaccurate. But because they said the buzzwords, you and your feelings, keep scrolling. Put that on a shirt, Pam. Keep scrolling. Listening to people, you learn who they are. Absolutely. You learn what they've been through. You learn their experiences. Every criticism doesn't deserve a response. Every disagreement doesn't deserve a fight. Sometimes you got to learn how to let it go. I'm trying to stay out that Bible. Sometimes you got to learn how to let it go. What Pilate said to Jesus, he said, listen, you a king of the Jews? What kind of authority you got? You claim that you the king of the Jews. Jesus said, you ain't had no authority unless my father gave it to you. He popped right back on him. And then he got quiet. He popped right back and then got quiet. He wasn't trying to follow nothing up. He wasn't trying to get in no argument. He said his piece and he kept moving. He said his piece and he kept moving. And sometimes you got to learn to agree to disagree. Hey, listen, I tell people all the time, man, I'm not going to agree with you. Ain't no need for both of us to be wrong. So I ain't going to agree with you. But dog, I love you. Straight up. People use social media to help feed their ego and opinion. They are not there to be open-minded and learn. Listen, I might have posted this a few weeks ago. Pam, I see your question. I'm about to get to that. I might have posted something a few weeks ago saying nobody comes to social media to actually learn the perspective of someone else and consider changing their mindset. That's just not what we do. We come to social media to let people know what we believe, what we think, and let them know we right, and we beg you to argue with us. That's really what we be doing. Now, is that right? No. Is that wrong? Maybe. It's just the nature of what social media is. Because even if I show you the error of your ways and you believe you're wrong at some point, you're never going to say it on social media. So you got to be careful. People do that for their ego and their opinion. And a lot of times they do that just to see what reaction they get. They might not even believe what they posted. They just want to get clicks and views. That's why when I do these things, I took a break from live for like a year because I was so consumed with how many people was watching, how many people were liking, sharing, subscribe. I was so concerned with that it became pressure just to teach online. Now, I'm not even concerned with that anymore. I'm at a place where if the right person sees what I put out there, then I've done what I'm called to do. That's success for me. People, does that mean we have to forget? You think Jesus forgot what Pilate said to him? It don't mean we forget. But it does mean, watch this, we forgive. And it means that we forget to the degree that Paul said, forgetting those things that are behind me, meaning it doesn't hold weight with me. I move differently. See, once you show me who you are, then I forgive you. I don't forget who you are. I properly place you right then where you need to be. And sometimes that you in a place where we not talking no more. Sometimes you in a place where it's high and by. And sometimes it really ain't that big of a deal. We can still rock. But I know how to properly place you because I know who you are. I don't think you have the capacity to forget a lot of times. I really don't. If the right thing or the wrong thing rather is done to you, I'm learning to discern when to speak, when to be still, when to trust God to fight on my behalf. My energy is too valuable to waste on unnecessary conflict. That is exactly right. And you know what? That's a lesson that you just learn as you get older and mature. Not necessarily older, because everybody who old ain't mature. But as you mature, you learn that you're in it. You just, man, I'm too tired for this. Old folk, you say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. You get tired of fighting all the time. And here's what happens on the spiritual side of this thing real quick. Here's what happens. You spend all your energy fighting battles you shouldn't have been fighting till now when something real happens in your life that you got to fight, you ain't got the energy for it. The place that you spend 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday, your job, I guarantee you there are battles on your job you fighting that you would win if you shut up. I was mentoring a guy. This is my boy. I still talk to him every so often. He called me with questions or whatever. But when he was younger, he would he fight every battle at work, everyone. Principal say something, he in the meeting. I ain't doing that. I don't think we should be doing that. Blah blah blah. And I told him, I said, listen, bro, you go in your classroom and you do what you do. You don't have to broadcast to everybody what you're not going to do. He didn't understand that till very recently. He called and he said, Doc, you was telling me, you was putting me on game this whole time. I got so much more energy for the kids because I'm not fighting battles that I don't have to fight. Everybody don't have to know what I think. See, sometimes we get so caught up in fighting battles that people can read you. They know everything you thinking in your mind because you give it to them. I got a brother, like I said, I use him as an example a lot of times, but our kids play ball together, and he gonna express how he feel. He goes, and it's nothing wrong with expressing it. I told him, I said, man, no, not me. I don't want them to know what I think. I ain't always been that way. I'm just learning to be that way. I don't want you to know, because when you know everything that I think, then you think you know me. And then you start doing stuff to appease me instead of being who you really are. I want you to be you. It has less power, less presence in your life. Absolutely. All right, y'all got to put it in high gear. I said every criticism doesn't deserve a response. Every disagreement doesn't deserve a fight. Protecting your peace is more important than proving a point. I would say put that on a shirt, but it's too much. Protecting your peace is more important than proving a point. You do not have to prove to everybody everything that you know. Sometimes your peace is more important than winning a battle. If you don't believe that, get married. Live in a house with somebody 24/7. Sometimes you don't want to be right. Sometimes you just want to be at peace. It's okay. We can disagree. As long as I got peace when I come home. Sometimes we are so enamored with proving something to somebody. Get that merch. We're so enamored with proving something to somebody, instead of understanding that sometimes peace can only be achieved in silence. Sometimes peace means I concede. Sometimes peace means, man, I don't agree with you, but that's the end of this conversation. Sometimes peace means I ain't bringing that up no more. Man, it's some fellas I talk to, man. It don't matter where we at. We can be in church. If I bring up this whole, and it's petty. This is a petty example. Whatever. I'm not making light of the point or the principle, but I'm just using this as an example. If I bring up LeBron James, oh, they're going in. It don't matter where. We can be sitting on the pew at church. They're going to argue for him. Until I just get to a point where when basketball comes up, I just don't talk to him. I can't talk to y'all about that because my peace is more important. I'm not getting all riled up about something that's meaningless, because when something meaningful comes and I got to fight for my kids, not physically, I got to fight for my family. I got to fight for my mom and dad. I got to fight for my siblings. I don't have the energy to do it because I've been fighting stupid battles. And sometimes the reason why every battle doesn't need your attention is because every battle ain't yours to fight. Sometimes you gotta let somebody else fight the battle. You ain't big and bad because you fighting unnecessary battles. You stupid. You stupid. You trying to fight everybody's battle. Who fighting with you? Who's helping you fight? And the problem is that you're gonna fight so many battles that are meaningless. Again, when the meaningful battles come, you don't have enough energy for it. When the enemy start attacking your household, you ain't got the energy to fight because you've been online arguing about racism all weekend. You ain't got the energy to fight when the enemy come attacking your kids, because you done spent all week arguing about the NBA. You ain't got the energy. You gotta fight. That's right. Boy, listen, you gotta fight for your family. Now, my family know I show up. I'm talking about my immediate family, but all of them know. Don't call Trip. Don't call Trip. Trip. Now, Trip don't show up to everything, but Trip show up to the battles now. Y'all just having a cookout. I may or may not be there. Full armor on when necessary. All the time it's necessary. Listen, you have kids, you know you got to put that thing on every morning. Before you send your kids out in these schools, you better know how to pray. Listen, I'm trying to stay out that Bible, y'all. But you listen, you better know how to pray for you. This coming from somebody who work in the school. You better know how to pray. You better know how to talk to your kids and have an open line of communication so your kids can talk to you. Think about it. Your kids spend more time away from you than they do consciously with you. Now, I don't count hours that they sleep and you sleep. You better know, listen, what the old folks say, how to get a prayer up off the floor. Because it's real out here for these kids. It is real. And if you spending more time fighting for other people and fighting for unnecessary things and fighting for the Democrats and fighting for the Republicans and fighting for Trump and fighting for Biden and Harris, you fighting all these battles. You spending all your energy on them battles. Listen, I know people that they get anxiety when they football team playing. Yo, it's a real fight going on out here. And y'all worried about entertainment. Y'all still watching wrestling. Y'all out here watching Rey Mysterio Jr. Y'all still out here watching Booker T. Just my pops calling me right now. Pops, I'm on these people's internet right now. I ain't even gonna answer. Man, so tell him I'm on these people's internet right now. You gotta fight the right fights. You got to fight the right fights. Fight the right battles. And guess what? If you're on the right team, it's always more fighting with you than fighting against you. It's always more fighting if you're on the right team now. Some of y'all ain't on the right team. Some of y'all standing on the sidelines looking. You ain't picked the team yet. Let me tell you something. You ain't got a lot of time. You better pick a team. One team gonna win or one team gonna lose. And you don't want to be on that losing team. Pick a team. Pam says a whole real fight. Kids versus... Listen, if you can't see the attack on kids, it's a problem. If you can't see it, you ain't looking for it. If you can't see it, and that might be okay. Some of y'all might not be looking for it. But it's attack on kids. Why? Because the society knows if we can mess up the younger generation, then we can mess up the future. Did y'all see 50 Cent got banned or something because he said, you know, the LGBT or whatever shouldn't be putting stuff in kids' books? It's an attack. And it's sad because we're so busy fighting the wrong battles. that we're not teaching our kids how to fight the right way. We're not teaching our kids. I'm trying to stay out of saying something that's gonna make everybody upset. We gotta know how to control our emotions, and we gotta teach our kids how to do that. See, I'm a different kind of school leader. I tell kids this: if you say something about my mama and I say something about your mama, we can go on about our day. If you say something about my mama and I slap you in the face, that ain't the same thing. We gotta have a conversation. You gotta know how to respond. But we've taught our children, it don't matter. Somebody says about you, you do, but X, Y, Z, you take it to the extreme. Ain't nobody gonna talk with my child. You see what it's getting us as a society? You see where that's getting us? We gotta respond with violence to everything. And it ain't getting us nowhere. Yeah, there's some injustices. I get that. Some of them we putting on ourselves. Because we fighting the wrong battle. Let me move on. What they say? He feeling the spirit. You talking about that? Talking about my daddy calling me. My daddy love wrestling. Now, he must have heard me. He must have heard me say that. Talk about control. Talk about a controlled aggression. Absolutely. Absolutely. And what we will do. Y'all, I got to move on. What we will do as a people, I'm talking about us. What we will do is we will justify wrongdoing because it was the response to wrongdoing. We'll try to justify it. You can't justify it. Then we will paint pictures and tell lies and create conspiracy theories to justify wrongdoing. Me and my wife went out to, where we went? We went to Cancun last week. We was in Cancun. The only time we done had to go somewhere with the kids, without the kids, right? Because they always into something. We go, and I heard a song. They was playing this song. Now, the crazy part was I was seeing people post about this song, this Young Miami song. I think that's her name. But I ain't never heard the song. And I was like, why are people so upset with whatever she's saying in the song? Now, I still don't fully understand what she's talking about in the song. I'm just being honest. And when somebody was explaining what she was really talking about, it was kind of sad to me that we would glorify that. But here's the other part that's wrong. She ain't the first one to do it. What was sad was Trick Daddy, who 88 years old, was getting online saying, girl, go get your money. Instead of us understanding that, man, tag them. I don't care, Pam. Well, instead of us understanding that what we are doing as a community is promoting the wrong thing. Now, was all of us at some point promoting the wrong thing? Absolutely. Yeah, spin that. That's it. If I never hear that song again, I'm good. At some point, all of us were promoting the wrong thing. Paul said this: when I was a child, I'm trying to stay out that Bible, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But, watch this, touch your neighbor. When I became a man, I put away childish things. You can't complain about what's denigrating our society, our community, when it's being done by other folk, when we're imploding from the inside. Is it right for other folk to denigrate us? Absolutely not. But look at what we're teaching our kids. Look at what we're teaching our kids. Look at what we're letting them hear. Look at what we don't have enough discernment to know. This is planting seeds of all kind of foolishness. See, I hated growing up. My mom and daddy wouldn't let us look at certain stuff, watch certain stuff, listen to certain stuff. I hated it, and I snuck and still did it a lot of the times. But now I understand what they were doing. You weren't mature enough to hear a wrong message and disregard it. So I had to make sure that, as much as depending on me as a parent, I didn't let you hear the wrong message. PK and said, yeah, I was on that train. Well, I was on all of it. Now, I always, when it came to music, was kind of like more on the conscious hip hop stuff. I still like, you play a Thug Motivation 101, Jeezy, your boy going in. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here trying to act holier than thou. It's like the stuff that happened on Juneteenth in Finley Park. I'm not acting like we ain't never go out and do that stuff. Don't act holier than thou. But let's also understand that we can't blame nobody else when we act a fool. Let's also understand that we can't blame the schools, because this happens everywhere. But as soon as your child get in a fight in the school, you want to blame the school. But your child getting in a fight everywhere else too. Let me move on. Every battle ain't yours to fight. I don't know all the words to the song. I don't either. I know them three. I don't know. Oh man, somebody said 3-6 Mafia. 3-6. Oh yeah, sipping on some scissor. but we can't plant seeds of negativity in our community. And then we also gotta be. I'm gonna say this last thing, and I'm seriously moving on. I'm thinking out loud, y'all. Again, we gotta be fair. Like I had one of my frat brothers. I love him to death. He posted something like, "Are y'all going to them Chinese restaurants, them Asian restaurants yet? If y'all are, y'all lame." Something like that. Boy, I got some wings downstairs right now. So wings at Rice right now. I'm not patronizing an entire community of people for the sins of one. Was he wrong? Absolutely. I'm not patronizing the entire community because of the sins of one. If I can't patronize their businesses, I shouldn't even be patronizing my businesses. Because every weekend in Colombia, where I'm from, it ain't them killing us, it's us killing us. Selective outrage. Gotta be equitable, gotta be equal, gotta be fair. I'm not patronizing a whole race of people based off of the actions of one person. That's negative. I'm not doing that. Now, is it wrong for you to do that? That's up to you. I'm not arguing with you about it. That's not my battle to fight. But as for me, in my house, I'm tearing them up, getting my nail done and buying hair. Boy, Jen's got the best wings in Colombia, boy. Got to have them. So, what's your battle to fight? Listen, here's the last one. I got to go, man. Y'all tripping. I had to unlearn the idea that growth should feel comfortable. That's the last one. Let me type that in there. Need a secretary, Pam. That growth should feel comfortable. I kind of talked about this already. And PK and 10 keep coming back. I said I'm moving on now. Like we were patronized. Get that hit. Absolutely. We can't stand that now. All black people like this. All black people like that. I don't fool with black people because all black people this and that. Off of your experience with 1 or 2 black folk. But then you go to another culture and do the same thing. It's racist when it's done to us. But when you do it to another culture, what is it? I had to unlearn that the idea that growth should feel comfortable. I had to unlearn the idea that growth should feel comfortable. You got to be uncomfortable to grow. Real growth stretches you, stretches the way you think, challenges you. Real growth exposes you. Real growth exposes your vulnerabilities. It exposes your proclivities. It exposes the things that you have always thought were right. Let me share this with you. I've got that thing is very uncomfortable. I got a few. One of them is my blood cousin. The other one, he's like my cousin. He's probably watching. He's my social media guy. And we all came up in the same theological type of church. I have left that church. But they're so young and they're still teaching and preaching, and I admire what they do. And so I try to expose them so much to what I believe is the truth that I was not taught at a young age, if y'all can understand what I'm saying. And the reason why I try to expose them to that is because if you're going to be going out here teaching and preaching and doing all those things, you need to be able to have a defense for what you believe in. That's what Peter said. Be ready to give a defense. And so a lot of those things that I was taught by well-meaning people. But I had to divorce what they taught from who they were when I found out that what they taught was inaccurate. And that was a hard thing to do. That was a hard thing to do. My wife texted me. Baby, I'm on these people's internet. I had divorced, and sometimes it's hard for us to break mindsets, habits, and beliefs. Watch this, because the person that taught us those things meant well. And in order for us to break it, we have to almost divorce ourselves from who they were. And sometimes that's our father or our mother or the pastor at the church, right? Or a coach or a mentor that you looked up to. And what we have to learn to do if we're going to grow is it's uncomfortable to say, I love you, but what you taught me was wrong. You gave me everything you could give me that you knew, and you meant well, but I found out it was wrong. And that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes we idolize people to such a degree that we don't understand that they're human and that they make mistakes. I had to learn that I'd rather be a wolf nobody likes than a dog. Listen, Pam, where you at? Pam dropping gems. That's it. Staying out of that Bible. That's it. Sometimes that goes back to what we're talking about, the approval of other people. Sometimes people not gonna like you. Sometimes your people not gonna like you because your vision, your mission, whatever you called to do, frustrates them. Man, I've been in the same position for professionally in the last 12 years. For the last 12 years, the same position, different places, but the same title. And everywhere I go, oh man, you need to move up and do this. You need to do that. You'll be good at this. Ma'am, I'll be good at everything. Not being arrogant. I'll be good at everything I do because I'm only going to do what I feel God has called me to do. And if he called me to do it, then he's responsible for the results. And so I don't move when somebody else says I should move. I don't go along to get along. I'm not in the go along, get along game. I do what I'm called to do. At least I try to. And I understand that my success is not measured by what other people think. My success is measured by what I'm supposed to be doing. That's what my success is measured by. People will question your credibility and your ability when they don't like you. Watch this. They'll question it publicly. But in private, they know what time it is. Trying to avoid the discomfort can actually prevent you from building resilience and reaching your absolutely. I know that to be a fact. Because sometimes I don't feel like going to that gym. Sometimes I don't feel like getting in my prayer closet. And sometimes I can't sleep because I'm avoiding discomfort. It's not comfortable 2:30 in the morning to be up with a Bible open and a prayer journal open and praying. It ain't comfortable. I be avoiding that discomfort. But there's so much reward in discomfort. There's so much reward in doing what makes you uncomfortable. Just very recently, me and my wife had to have some uncomfortable conversations. Me and my son had to have some uncomfortable conversations. But there's reward in that. Don't feel good, but it works for your good. You have to understand that if you're going to grow, the hardest part, watch this, of growth is deconstruction. The hardest part of growth, if you don't catch anything that I said over the last hour and 43 minutes and 15 seconds, the hardest part of growth is deconstruction. Unlearning beliefs, habits, and mindsets that may have worked in previous seasons. She talking about, come on, altar call. Another shirt. There's reward and discomfort. It is. You've got to get to that place where you understand that growth only happens after deconstruction. See, the church ain't gonna teach you that. They're not gonna teach you to deconstruct. Why? Because if they teach you to deconstruct, a lot of the stuff that they taught you, you're gonna have to deconstruct. Like what we talked about, pecan. You can't cry. They teach you to take it to the Lord in prayer. That's good. They don't teach you to take it to the counselor, the therapist. See, if it's just you and God, that's enough. But God didn't design it that way. He never designed it to just be you and him. Now, there are seasons where it's you and him. But he didn't design it that way. He designed us to be dependent, not just on him, but he's given us people that look like us, that we can see and feel and touch and hug, that are there to help us. And sometimes we're so busy looking at the wrong battles that we miss that we got a lot of help. You remember I'm about to get out of here. You remember the story where the Elijah had the servant and they were about to fight, and he saw all of the armies that was about to kill them or unalive them. I can't say kill on YouTube. Unalive. He saw all of them. And Elijah was chilling. And Elijah told the servant, he said, there are more with us than against us. But the servant couldn't see it because he was only looking at who was against him. Elijah said, listen, God, open his eyes so he can see. And when God opened his eyes, he saw angels around all of the people that were trying to unalive them. Listen, if you open your eyes and stop fighting the wrong battles, watch this, you'll see that there's more with you than against you. Boy, look a little wavy right there. More with you than against you. Things I had to unlearn to grow. I had to unlearn that being busy means being productive. You can be busy and not productive. Busyness is not honorable. Production is. I had to learn number 2. I had to unlearn the need for everyone's approval. Growth requires you to disappoint other people. I had to unlearn that my past determines my future. Past mistakes can't become a mental prison. Number 4, I had to unlearn that every battle needs my attention. I'm gonna fight the battles I'm supposed to fight. And if I'm supposed to help you fight one, you better tell God to let me know. Because if not, I'm conserving that energy for when I got to fight them battles for my kids and for my family. And number 5, I had to unlearn the idea that growth should feel comfortable. Those are some harsh reality. That deconstruction piece. Those are some harsh realities. You gotta unlearn a lot of stuff if you're gonna grow. Begin that process. What areas of your life do you need growth? And what areas of your life do you need to unlearn, deconstruct some things in order to reconstruct some things? Take inventory of that. We on the 7th month of the year. You ain't got long before it's 2027. Deconstruct so that you can reconstruct. Listen, I appreciate y'all coming to the dungeon. Appreciate my guest, Pecan, for getting on. Listen, anytime we're doing Thinking Out Loud, you hit that link in the description. YouTube, Facebook, I don't care who you are. Jump on. Talk to me. Let's talk about whatever the topic is. Tonight we talked about things I had to unlearn to grow. Listen, we'll be back soon. Take inventory of your life. Figure out what areas you need to deconstruct so you can reconstruct. I'll holler at you. Be good.